In the year that the UN Foundation and the UNA USA have joined forces, I've seen the passion of members and chapters across the country as they work to support global change from their own communities. Their passion was on full display just last month for UN Day, where 85 chapters across the country hosted more than 130 events in honor of the work of the UN. In the last year, the new UNA USA has inspired new chapters to be born. Advocacy activities have been undertaken to the attacks that have come to the UN. And in their response, we have seen a dramatic increase in their advocacy activity on the UN's behalf. Global classrooms and Model UN programs are reaching even more young people. And we have a few of our star Global Classrooms students with us tonight. As a result, UNA USA is ensuring that everyone from freshmen in high school to freshmen in Congress know the importance of the U.S.'s role with the UN. Thank you for being here tonight to support our mission. In 2007, UNA USA launched the Leo Nevis Program on Human Rights to honor its longest-serving board member, Leo Nevis. A lawyer and human rights advocate, he was a true proponent of the importance of the United Nations principles. The Nevis Human Rights Program presents an annual award to recognize individuals who serve as agents of change in advancing international human rights. Tonight's award is being presented to Asma Jahangir, who served the United Nations Human Rights Council as a special rapporteur. Asma is the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association and chairperson of the Human Rights Council of Pakistan. Like other UN special rapporteurs who examine, monitor, advise, and publicly report the human rights problems, Asma has shown real leadership in her support of the UN, and in particular, she has shown strong and persistent dedication to preventing the persecution of religious minorities, women, and the exploitation of children. Asma Jahangir, in honor of your accomplishments and those of the many human rights special rapporteurs, congratulations.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to receive this award not only on my behalf, but on behalf of many of the people who have served and continue to serve in the special procedures, which is special rapporteurs, special envoys, and people who are there in what we call the special procedures of the human rights. I think many of them have done wonderful work, and this is what we call the ears and eyes of the United Nations. When I was appointed as UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial killings some 13 years ago, I thought I came from a village, which I did, called Pakistan, which is a very volatile village because it has everything that you can think of in terms of human rights, violations, I should say. And I had gone into a larger global picture in terms of understanding human rights. But I soon found out that my work in Pakistan had shown me that common sense rules the grassroots and the wisdom of the grassroots. But vested interest drives common sense in the UN. And that is the difference that I saw. For example, when I was Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial killings, there were people who were being killed in Brazil because of their sexual orientation. And I wrote a report just saying exactly that. And many of the people, many of the member states, representatives of the member states got up and said that that was not possible. And when they were questioned why that was not possible, they said they had none of the people who had different sexual orientations in their own country. So later on, I had a discussion with them, and I said, well, if there was nobody who was gay in your country, why are you then objecting to it? And so gradually they said, well, they are, but we don't recognize it. And it became as a shock to them that I, as a Muslim woman, a married woman, should be talking about sexual orientation and the protection to people who belong to a kind of gender which they have not recognized. Similarly, when people talked of impunity in my mandate of extrajudicial killings, you would talk of impunity on every other aspect. But when it came to impunity of killing women, for example, in some parts of the world, they said, well, that was not really impunity, but that should go under the mandate of violence against women. So I learned that these prejudices are there not only in my own country, where they are possibly to an extreme, but also that while the people of the world are galloping towards getting protection, seeking human rights, the countries of the world are crawling and the governments are crawling much behind. I am, in a way, humbled that you give me this award for change, because there has not been much change. And though the Secretary General is there, and I say in all modesty, I wish that the change in human rights would be much more in the United Nations than one would, than one sees, because we are stuck on the same issues. We are stuck about accepting the fact that there are people who are different, that there are people who have different ideas, that we do not accept the fact that there is persecution of religious minorities. Every country says that they respect the right of religious minorities, and yet when you pick up the reports of special rapporteurs, almost in every region of the world, religious minorities are persecuted, are still being killed. And there are some countries of the world where people cannot even be citizens of that country because they are not of one single acceptable religion that the state would recognize. And so I think not only that, if you go deeper, there are many countries of the world where the interfaith marriages are not recognized, and yet we talk about a global world. I think we are not changing. I do not, while I was sitting there, deserve this award, because one has not been an instrument of change. One has simply identified that the change is not coming fast enough as it should. But thank you so much for this honor.